this layout construction segment of What's Neat, I've got this Athearn turntable display that I've built as a trade show display about 3 years ago, and you can look at kenpatterson.com and see a full-length 16-minute video on how I built and constructed this standstill unpowered display. Recently, Athearn asked me to repower this and set it all up now so that all the locomotives will have DCC power and the bridge will function. Now, building trade show displays really isn't anything new to me. I've built many trade show displays over the years, like the Waterfront Series diorama for Wathers. It measured 6 foot by 4 foot. It really was a super detailed diorama designed for shooting outdoor photography, and then was wrapped with oak sides to be displayed in their trade show booth. I also did the Automotive Series display for Wathers. That included the auto rack loading facility as well as the Ford dealership. The car lot was full of cars ready to be sold, with acres of scenery placed around the display to create this photograph. Another project was the box art for the Atlas HO scale roundhouse, where the crew was replacing the brake shoe on a locomotive. This scene too became a nice oak-wrapped trade show display for the Atlas trade show booth. The Wathers lift bridge scene also made for a professional-looking diorama at shows. Now let me walk you through the process of powering up this display for Athearn so that all the models will have sound and lights functioning when it is set up at a train show. I used a Dremel with a wire brush to clean the rails where the power feed wires will be soldered. I ran the power feed wires through a brass tube, pressed through the foam, and running the wire through the tube, then cutting it to length. I did this for all 20 rails around the turntable pit. I used a pair of tweezers to hold the wire against the rail as I soldered the wire to the rail's side. I fed the power wires under the diorama in 2 routed grooves, one groove for the right rail power feeds and the other groove for the left rail power feeds. These wires were then soldered together and pressed into place into the groove. I filled these grooves with Great Stuff Foam Pro, covering the wires now embedded into the bottom of the diorama. I cut the foam flush with a handsaw, making everything flat and smooth. Turning my attention to the bridge, I respiked the rails with glue in preparation to power up the bridge. I pulled 2 power feed wires through the bridge, to which I will solder a microphone jack powering the rails. Here you see the mono microphone jack soldered into place. I cut a plexiglass disc and fit the female microphone jack into a centered hole. I took this plexiglass mounted disc with the microphone jack into place and test fit this into the center of the pit. I then routed out this area for the disc with a Dremel. After getting the depth right, I test fit the plexiglass disc into the hole, then centered the turntable bridge into place. I made the rail for around the pit by running a piece of flex track through the bandsaw and gluing this rail and the ties into place around the edge. I painted the inside rail with brown paint, masking the center of the pit with a household dinner plate. This worked out really well. At this point, I reballasted the scene and scenic the whole top of the diorama, and then I glued everything into place with 1 bottle of Woodland Scenic cement. After the scenery and the glue dried, I applied 5-minute epoxy to the plexiglass microphone jack base, gluing this into place into the center of the pit. With the turntable bridge set into place, I used a level to ensure that the bridge was level to the tops of the rail all the way across while the 5-minute epoxy set up. Now it was time to run the DCC main wires to the diorama. I used speaker wire to make the main power feed wire that will be connected to the DCC system and then to the tracks around the pit. I cut more grooves with a hot foam cutter to run these wires to the turntable center. I also cut a square groove into the foam to install a Digitrax AR1 automatic power reversing controller. This will allow automatic control to keep the turntable bridge from shorting out when spun around, reversing the polarity in the direction of the locomotive. This is simply wired in line to the turntable pit's female jack. I glued the power reverse module into place with the Foam Pro glue. I then went on to fill the wire channels with more of the Foam Pro glue, making the wires deep inside. After cutting all the excess foam flush with a handsaw, I painted the bottom of the diorama to give it a more finished look, eliminating the orange and pink colors. After the paint dried, I flipped the diorama over and grabbed the locomotive to test run our new turntable display. I ran the locomotive onto the turntable bridge, I turned the bridge around by hand, lining up the rails. I then ran the locomotive off the bridge, and to my surprise, it didn't short. The auto reverser actually worked really well. I proceeded to test run the locomotive on and off each track. Being satisfied that everything ran smooth, this project was finished and ready to be displayed at Athern's next train show. And what's really amazing about this display is it's already traveled over 24,000 miles. It's done 15 shows already while it was unpowered, but the next time you'll see it, it'll be full sound, and you can even test run a locomotive onto it and off of it and spin the bridge around. So the next time you see this at an Athern booth, you'll know a little bit of the process of what went into powering up this display for the train shows. So that's this layout construction segment for this What's Neat. For this segment of What's Neat, I've got a really special guest. Now, hand-laying track is a great mystery to a lot of people. And I've got a fellow by the name of Jeff Otto that stopped by the studio today to show us his hand-laying track products for a company he calls Oak Hill Model Railroad Track Supply. So with that, let me hand it over to Jeff. And Jeff, tell us about your really cool product.
Hey Ken, thanks a lot, and thanks for having me on the show. I'm excited to be here. So, I've been into model trains for 10 or 15 years, and I wanted to find something that I could do that I could become good at. I love weathering cars, hanging out with the rust bucket guys, but I also wanted to do something else too, kind of on the side as adding on to the hobby. So I decided, what can I do? So I decided to start making tracks. So I just started making turnouts just with paper templates, and then I said, you know what, I think I'm going to try to expand upon this. So then I taught myself AutoCAD, kind of, and started drawing up tracks, also with the help of my friend Andy Reichert at Proto87.com, who's been a great resource and a tremendous help in helping me fulfill my dream of having my own template company and turnout company. So what I do is design the turnout in AutoCAD, then I have it milled in a CNC machine into what you see here, the aluminum template. So, starting with the templates, when I was designing the template, I wanted to just kind of do my own thing, and so what I came up with is, for one, all the ties are in the template. So, if you have a source of wood ties, you can do it yourself. You don't have to buy any laser cut materials or depend on anyone, really. You can do it all on your own. Also, you can't really notice from the picture, but the ties are prototypically spaced according to AAR drawings. Again, thanks to Andy at Proto87 for his guidance and support with this. So the other aspects about my template design are, in my kit, you get either milled points with a hinge, or you can also get filed points without a hinge. Also, the frog, you can get a traditional filed frog, or you can also get a rail-bound manganese frog for high-speed turnouts, or a bent rail frog. So in my kit, you get the template, and you also get everything to make 5 turnouts. But here's how mine make it easy for anyone to make track. Everything's cut. The PC board ties are cut and gapped. The ties are all cut to size. All the rail is cut. Guardrail, the frog is put together. You get the hinges, and also the throw bars are put together. You also get a free tube of Pleabond, and it's all, so basically you don't have to waste any time cutting. You don't need a file. All you need is solder, flux, and a soldering iron to put together turnouts with my template kit.
That sounds really nice, Jeff. So all I've got to do is buy your kit. It comes with everything needed to do 5 turnouts, and I've just got to pick what code rail it is. Tell me, will your kits do multiple codes, or do I need a certain jig for certain size rail?
I have code 70, 83 templates. I have code 100 templates, and in some scales I have code 55. I have HO scale templates. I have a Z scale number 10. Or pardon me, an N scale number 10. The Z scale number 10 is coming.
Show us your Z-scale switch.
The Z scale switch is right here.
Now that's amazing. That is mighty small. What code rail is that, 55?
That's code 55 rail. It has the bent rail frog. It also has 2 throw bars.
So you've got the products where I could do crossovers, I could do switches, number 10s, number 8s, any size I want. Tell us, what website do we need to go to check out all these cool products?
Sure, Ken. It's www.ohrtracksupply.com.
Boy, Jeff, listen, thank you very much for sharing this new product with us on What's Neat. You said you've been doing this for about a year, so I would say that you're a newbie to the market of model railroading. And I tell you what, all of us modelers welcome what it is that you do for us. Making it simple, making it nice, that's what it's all about. And that's What's Neat. So thank you very much for this segment, Jeff.
Thank you, Ken.
For this segment of What's Neat, we're going to discuss lights. Now, you'll remember about a year ago, I replaced the track light heads on my layout that I use. These were 50-watt halogen bulbs, which came out to about 2,600 watts total in electricity on the 52 heads that I've got. And I replaced them with 3-watt LED bulbs and saved considerably on my electric bill. Well, now finally, they've come out with fluorescent tube LED light bulbs. I picked this one up at the Home Depot just this week, and I've got 21 of these fluorescent tube lights that light up my shop and my layout area. And I need to replace these light bulbs. Now, those 21 light bulbs that the 21 shop lights that I've got are 80 watts a piece, or otherwise about 1,700 watts. And by replacing them with these LED lights that are 17 watts a piece, I can bring that electronic use during the day down to about 700 watts of electricity. So it's just a little bit less than half. So let's put one of these in and see how they turn out and what they look like. Now, I've got regular fluorescent tubes here. These are the 40 watts a piece, and these are some sort of a daylight. And now I'm installing the LED fluorescent light into this fixture. And I've got it upside down. You've got to put it in so that the lens area faces straight down. And as you can see, it looks just like a fluorescent light. It puts out great light. It looks good, and in fact, it's actually brighter than the fluorescent lights that I've got here. Other than the fact that they're $21 a piece, and I anticipate the price on those in the next 6 months or so will probably come down. So I'm not going to replace all of mine right now with this, but this is something to look at for the future for your shop lights, and I wanted to show it on What's Neat first. this segment of What's Neat, I've got an exciting new product from Bachmann called Easy App. And it's a train control system where you can run the trains on a DC layout or a DCC layout, but the train is powered through radio frequency through Bluetooth. I'm not sure if you call Bluetooth radio frequency, but that's how it works. It's a Wi-Fi system where the engines are directly controlled by, in this case, we're going to use this Apple tablet. And I've got the Bachmann Easy app loaded into the tablet. You've got to go to the Apple Store, download it into your tablet, and then it's ready to go for your trains. So when I hit the Easy app button, it brings up the application for the trains. Upon downloading the app, it shows that I've got two locomotives on the track, locomotive 1 and number 2, and they are connected. So I can hit multi-train and should be able to run these locomotives. I hit the startup button on each throttle, and it shows clearly the two throttles to run each train with. It's got bell, horn for each train. The sound comes out of the tablet or your iPhone device and is in sync with the movement of the locomotive as you run the train. So as I reverse the direction of the trains, I can run each one individually using this Easy App application device that works with these Apple products. So here's another simple way to run your trains, something new and exciting from Bachmann. This is really going to make the people that like the Thomas Kincaid China Village buildings very happy. It'll make it simple for the train set operator just to pull the train out of the box, set up your Bluetooth device, and go ahead and start running trains. So I wanted to feature this on What's Neat, something new and exciting in the hobby. Thank you for Bachmann. One additional thing I want to say about the Bachmann Easy app is that you can take this groove cube from Walmart and simply stuff this into your boxcar. We've done that on my son's Athearn train set here, and we've got the Bluetooth Bachmann locomotive in the front of the train set. By putting this into the boxcar, we get sound in the train because your device in the settings is able to program this cube so that the sound will come out of the cube and not your device. So now we've got a way to put the sound from the Bachmann Easy app into the train and actually have it work with the consist like you see in this footage. For this segment of What's Neat, I'm working on another laser kit. This is a very small building. This is the McCab Rail Facility Office structure. And the reason I'm building this building is I needed a building over in the freight car shop facility, which is a series of buildings that I'm building, but what I didn't have was an office complex where they could do the paperwork and do all the, anything that's involved in freight car rehabs. So what I've got going on here now is I've taken all the parts of the kit and I've laid them all out. And the one thing that I've learned in the past year of building laser kits is it's best to pre-paint all the parts and pre-stain them before building the structure. So I've got the outside walls here pre-colored the color that I want. I painted the inside of the walls white, because this building's got a full-blown interior in it with furniture. I've also painted all the window trim and the windows white, and I've stained the floor and the rafters and the roof with stain. So at this point, all we've got to do is assemble this building, glue all the trim to it, and put it all together, and I'm going to show you how to go about doing that. This is a very small structure, so I anticipate this is only probably going to take about an hour to 2 hours to build it. It's not that difficult of a project to build. It's one of those weekend projects, which is what's kind of nice about it. There's so many kits out there that are large and encompassing, like the Hyde pulp mill that I built. It took 22 days straight to build the structure of 9 different buildings for that structure. So that's this segment of What's Neat. Let's see how this structure comes out now. To start the assembly on the office building, I took all the parts and I cut out all the trim parts, all the window trim, all the side trim, all the pieces. I cut them loose, and so I'd have all the pieces out on the table. Then I assembled the base by putting wood glue onto the base bottom structure, and then I laid the floorboards on top of this. That brought me to having a finished base, which I then took the interior window, walls and door, and I glued those into place. Those are already painted white. Now this structure, because I cut all the trim pieces out ahead of time, it made it a lot easier to simply dip the pieces in glue like you see me doing right here, and putting the pieces in their place, the trim pieces on the structure. That included the window sashes, same process, gluing these into place. And then once I had the trim pieces put on, because they were all cut out, I was able to do all the trim pieces all at the same time on the walls, which is just the opposite of how I normally do it when I glue the walls together first and then put the trim and the window sashes all together. I've also taken all the window mullions and I put them onto the acetate so that I could take a hobby knife, cut them off, and end up with a pile of all the windows on this structure ready to be glued into place. The windows simply fit into place very easily on the building. Everything fit real nice because this laser cut stuff has a tendency to fit that way because it's made so precise. Then what I did was I assembled the roof as per the instructions, and then I took the underneath side of the roof and I painted it white so that the eaves on the structure would be white and the underneath interior would all be white in the structure. Now the structure came with a full-blown interior and it's got desks and chairs, but because this building's sitting back on the layout, I chose not to do the interior of the building for this project. I'm going to shingle over the building with gray shingles, which will bring the structure a real nice even tone color with the red, the white trim, and the gray shingles, and it'll look very nice into location. And this is how the finished structure comes out after I've got the roof in place. As you can see, the structure just came out really nice. It's a small, perfect office building, just right for the section of the layout where I've got planned for it to sit among the car shops. So that's this segment of structure building for this month. This is a pretty cool kit. It only took about 3 hours to build, and it's a nice little building.